Yo, I'm so sorry for being late. This technology has been on my back the whole time. So, thank you very much for joining me today. I'm a few minutes late, about 5 minutes late. This shouldn't be a train smash. But yeah, thank you very much again for joining me. I just want to announce that this session is going to be quite lengthy. I hope you are comfortable. I hope you are ready to hear about my personal experience with my first investment property. My first investment property was it was a very interesting journey, I should say. It was an interesting journey because many different things happened. I had been lied to, I was told the truth, I was lied to so many times. But I'm gonna take you through basically the whole process of me purchasing my first investment property. So basically, the process in which I was thinking, how I thought about it, and how I implemented everything, and more importantly, my experience once I had purchased the property. How was my experience from there, and was it a good experience, was it a bad experience? And then also the smaller nitty gritty, such as the mistakes that I made when I was purchasing the property. And something that people don't talk about is actually mistakes that they make. And also, I'm going to be mentioning some of the good things that I believe I did well. And then also, if you do stay till the end, there is a free ebook that I'll be sharing with everyone who has joined me today. There's a free ebook that I wrote. It's titled How to Get Out of Debt and Begin a Path of Financial Prosperity. So we all want to be in a position of financial wealth one day. We might not be there today, but that's definitely a goal. So I've written an ebook just to try help us to think about how to go about it, and I'll definitely share with you where you can find it at the end of the session, right? With that being said, let me get going. So recently I started working and immediately I knew that my salary wasn't for me, right? So I recently started working. Now I know that this salary that I'm getting paid is definitely not what I want for myself, not what I want for my life. I had been studying before that. I was studying an accounting science degree at the University of Wits here in Johannesburg, and I'm from Durban. For those of you who don't know, I'm from Durban, and I'd been studying at the University of Johannesburg, doing this accounting degree, aiming to become a chartered accountant one day. Ngitshela ukuthi ngizoba nemali, right? I thought I'm just gonna have money and I'll get paid, and that's how the world works. And immediately when I graduated and I finished, I started working, I realized that that's not how the world works. Just because you have an accounting degree does not mean you're going to get paid racks on racks on racks. So it really wasn't what I expected. And I then knew that I need to immediately find another way to start making another source of income. I need to find a way where I'm going to be generating this source of income consistently that is going to build me this wealth that I want. So I started going online to research different things, and consistently the one thing that I found when I was googling was speaking to property. So building wealth, the main thing that I realized was it was mainly centered around property, and that every millionaire and billionaire around the world has property. And I read some stats, I don't know how true it is, but that most millionaires specifically have made most of their money through property, or they started in some way through property. So I was like, okay, this is definitely the vehicle for me. So immediately I started doing a bit of research. Didn't do a lot of research. Immediately, I really didn't do a lot of research. But in my mind, I did a lot of research, and then I went straight to the viewing. One thing about me as well is that I'm a very impulsive person. So if I like something right now, forget the budgets. Like, that's how I am. And I know it's not a good trait to have, but historically that's how I've been. And I'm never really irresponsible, but sometimes I can be. So I went out for a viewing to view an apartment in Auckland Park, here in Johannesburg, and I met the agent there. I found the property on Property 24. Yeah, so I found the property on Property 24, and then I went out to view the property with the agent. When I arrived, the agent told me amazing things about the property. The agent told me that This area is prime area for young professionals. There's always going to be a tenant. There's students right here. And it is the truth. It is a prime area for students and all of that. She didn't really lie to me about that. So immediately I wasn't sure, but she told me that this properties in this area, they move really quickly. So I need to make my decision really quickly as well. I remember it was a Saturday and I was driving to work. I was driving to Krugersdorp at the time. So I drove to Krugersdorp. On my drive there, I was like, nah, I'm not missing out on this opportunity. Fuck it, I'm gonna buy it. And immediately I called the agent and I was like, hey, what's her name again? I forgot her name. But I called, I was like, hey, listen, I'm really interested in the property. Please send me the offer to purchase. She sent me the offer to purchase. That night, I signed it, returned it, sent all the relevant documentation that I needed because I was like, I'm not missing out on this opportunity and I want to make sure that I have a tenant. And what's nice about it was that it had a tenant already inside it, and the tenant had just signed a lease, had just renewed their lease. So I wasn't really stressed about, am I going to have a tenant or not? But because the tenants who are staying there has just renewed their lease, right? So now, after that, they told me that I'm going to be receiving a rental of about 6,500, and I was like, okay, great. The bond was going to be 4,800, and I was like, okay, great. So if you guys can just hit me up in the comments for now, just as an idea, what do you think are the mistakes that I've made at this point? Just hit me up in the comments and let's see what mistakes you guys think to this point where I've signed the offer to purchase. I've sent back all the documents. Just from the story that I'm telling you exactly how it happened. What do you think the mistakes are that I've made so far? Because they are clearly mistakes I've made. I just want to see if you guys can pick up on some of them. Please like the video as well. Like, it's just a click of a button. Please like the video. So I went to my banker, and I bank with Investec. So I went to my banker and I told him that, hey, I wanna get this bond approval. Please approve it for me. Please make sure. And then I got prime interest rates. Prime at the time was 10%. And I requested the bond cost to be capitalized. I requested the bond cost to be capitalized onto the loan because I didn't know actually that you have to pay bond costs. So I requested that they be capitalized onto the loan, and they did that. So then about a month later, I got a statement. I got a statement from the transferring attorneys, a statement that had 17,000 rands. And I was like, what the fuck? Now I'm shook. Now I'm literally at a point where I'm confused. What is the 17,000 rands for? I called them. I'm like, hey, what do you mean 17,000 rands? What's going on? And then they're like, no, you need to pay us for the transfer. Mind you, at that time, I don't even earn 17,000 rands. So when you tell me I need to pay 17,000 rands, it's like, wait, what? I don't even earn 17,000 rands per month. So how am I going to afford to pay you 17,000 rands? So I started saving money. And obviously I'm not going to be able to save like the equivalent of my salary within the transfer period. So naturally, I used my overdraft facility because I have an overdraft facility with Investec. So property transfers into my name. So let me give you guys the numbers, right? I've written them down here. So the purchase price, 500,000. The transfer cost was 17,000. The bond costs that were capitalized onto the loan, so I don't have to really pay them upfront, were 20,000. These are rounded off figures. So basically my loan amount was 520. And the transfer costs were 17,000. And after this, I'm thinking, I'll be fine. Rent is 6.5. My bond payment is going to be about 4.85 thousand rands because of this 20,000 rand that I just capitalized. So about 5,000 rands, I'll be making a profit of 1.5 every single month. And I'm like, I'm in a really great position. No problem. Let me pay this amount. Let me stop complaining and stressing about a lot of things that I shouldn't be stressing about. So I noticed some of you guys mentioned the mistakes that you think that I made in this process. So let me tell you the mistakes I made before I continue with the story. The first mistake I made was that I viewed one property. I only viewed that one property. I didn't view any other property. I saw it, the agent sold it to me and told me it's in a prime area. It's not going to be on the market for long. Therefore, I should buy, and I should buy now. And I didn't view another property. There potentially could have been a neighbor who was selling at 450, but I would have never known because I only viewed one property. So that's the first mistake that I made. And then the second mistake was I didn't take my time. I really didn't. I was like rushing because I was going to work, and I was thinking, okay, I don't want to be late for work, but it's a Saturday, so I can be a bit late because no one's really paying attention. I'm working overtime, so it's okay. And surprisingly, that was a bad thing for me to do because, as mentioned here by Mr. Hussein, I didn't inspect the property properly. I didn't really go around the property because there were certain things that were damaged in the property that I didn't realize at the time. I just walked in, it was a loft apartment. I just walked in, walked up the stairs, saw the bathroom, walked back down, saw the tenants, yeah, and then I moved out. And that was it. And that was not the way in which you should be doing things. You really shouldn't be investing in property like that, because if you don't take your time with that investment, you're going to be stuck with it for 20 years. And that's the position I was in. Another mistake that I saw that someone mentioned was that I didn't evaluate the property. Yes, the inspection, yes, that is correct. It's more expensive to own than it is to rent. So it depends, right? That really does depend on the area in which you live in. That does stand to be true in some places, but in some other places, it's not necessarily true, specifically in the city. And then I didn't negotiate the price. It was 500,000. I didn't at all say, okay, is the owner willing to take 450? Maybe I could have got a bargain, but I didn't even try because I didn't think about negotiating. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie and say anything else. I really just didn't think of negotiating, and I didn't. And then as a result of that, I ended up paying what the asking price was. And then I didn't do, yes, obviously a proper inspection, but then I also didn't request evidence of this rent being 6,500. The agent told me 6,500, and the rent was actually not 6,500. When I actually started now owning the property, I realized the rentals that I'm receiving are 6,000 rands. The rent is not 6.5. The contract does not say 6.5. And the agent told me 6.5, and I assumed that they're telling the truth, and that's a mistake that I made. I should have asked for proof. So always ask for proof is something that I learned from that experience as well. So I now know going forward not to just believe what the agent says, even though not all agents are going to be deceitful like that. But some agents are deceitful, and you do need to ask for evidence and proof of certain things. So I didn't know about rates and taxes, and I didn't know about levies. Rates and taxes were 1,100, and the levies were 1,900. So now I'm going from a position where I'm thinking my income is going to be 6.5 and my bond is 5,000, and I'll be making a profit of 1.5 per month. Now there's all of a sudden this additional expense of 1.9 and 1.1 that I did not budget for, that I did not know. So immediately I moved from a position of I'm making 1.5 to now, what is it? What's that amount? It's going to be about 2,000 rands that I need to take out of my pocket. So I'm expecting to get a profit per month of 1.5. Now I'm in a position where I actually have to pay 2,000 rands every single month towards this property. I did not expect it, and I did not know about it. The agent did not tell me, and I did ask the agent, hey, so in this property, I'll be making 1.5 profit. Are there any other costs? They said no. And I didn't even look into it. I didn't know. So I just believed what they said because I just believed what they said. Who else do you believe besides the real estate agents, right? So now I've literally, I'm in a position where I'm having to take out this 2,000 rands per month when I was expecting 1.5 per month. And it really was difficult. It was not easy, and it's a lesson learned not to do that. And then not to make matters worse, then there's a management fee. It's a management fee that gets taken that's a percentage of the rental. My management fee per month was 360 rand. So my expenses are the bond of 5,000 rands, levies of 1,900 rands, rates and taxes of 1.1, and then I also have the management fee that I have to pay of 360 rand, and the rent is 6,000 rands. I don't know if you guys can do the maths, but you can clearly tell that I'm not in a good financial position. I don't earn a lot of money, and I was trying to put myself in a position where I'm making more money, but I've actually created a liability for myself that I have to pay for. Like if it was like $100, it would be fine, but it's not okay when it's over 2,000 rands every single month, and you don't even earn a lot of money at that time. So now I own the property. It's transferred into my name. The agent who sold it to me is managing the property for me, earning 360 rand for doing absolutely nothing. But I didn't know, and she was a horrible agent. She didn't answer my calls. I asked her for monthly statements, rental statements, and she didn't give me. I'd have to run after her so I can get monthly statements, which to me does not make sense. It really does not make sense, and it shouldn't have happened. So I literally was pissed off at her, and then a few months later I told her, like a while later actually, I told her, listen, me and you are done. Your contract says, the contract that I signed with you says that I need to give you 3 months notice, whatever that is. I need to give you 3 months notice, and then this is your 3 months notice. And then she says, okay, it's fine, we can be done. By the way, your tenant is moving out in 2 days. I'm like, how? This woman, what does she mean my tenant is moving out in 2 days? Like, it doesn't make sense. You are my agent. You're supposed to be telling me, keeping me up to date about my tenants and their plans of moving out, especially when the lease contract is not over. Like really, especially since the lease contract is not over, you should be keeping up to track with that. And I don't even know what the consequences are for that. Then you tell me when 2 days my tenant is moving out. I was like, don't piss me off. Like, what do you mean they're moving out? They're like, no, I just found out. I'm like, when were you gonna tell me? They're like, no, I'm telling you now. Like, I don't know if you still see my frustration. Like, it really still pisses me off till today because it makes absolutely no sense. So then now I'm busy calling. At that time, I recently got my mentor. So I'm calling my mentor. I'm telling him, hey, my tenant is moving out. I don't know what to do. Then he tells me to get hold of another lady who's in a law firm. Then eventually I realized that whole route is not gonna really help me because the tenant is now gone. They're saying they were excluded from school. They were students, they were excluded from school, and they're gone. So I want to communicate with the parents. So I speak to the lady who was my agent. I'm like, give me their numbers because I want to communicate with them to make them understand that you can't just up and leave. And then it takes me like 2 months to get their contact details because the stupid agent doesn't want to give me the contact details. So automatically I start thinking like there's something shady going on here. It doesn't make sense. Why don't you want to give me the contact details so I can speak to them? It's my apartment. Eventually they give me the contact details and the number doesn't work. So I saw that there's something really shady that was happening. I'm not sure what it was, but really these are the people that give agents a bad name. I don't want you guys to think agents are bad because agents aren't bad. It's just that you'll get a small percentage, handful of them who do a really crappy job and then they give everyone a bad name. You know how bad news spreads much quicker than good news. So what she did, honestly, was really like it was a really bad experience for me. And at that time, I was done with agents. I wanted nothing to do with agents, and yeah, that's basically my experience with the agents. So now I'm stressing and I'm panicking, but I'm like, calm down. Let me find myself a new tenant. So I start running Facebook ads and communicating with people. And eventually I find a tenant about 2 months later. I find a tenant. And so these 2 months, mind you, I'm paying all these costs by myself now. And I'm really struggling. So yeah, so I'm really struggling because now there's no tenants to actually assist with that additional, like, because I was taking out 2 grand from my pocket, but now there's no tenant to assist with the 5.7 or whatever it was that needs to be paid on top of that. So I'm renting somewhere. I'm paying my bond this side, and I still have to live. So it was really tough for those 2 months, but I found a tenant who paid again 6,000 rands. She was a really great person, like no lie, and she was a good tenant for a while. Everything was going well. And then this year, COVID happened. And yeah, COVID happened. COVID happened to a lot of people. And unfortunately, it also impacted me and my apartment that I owned. So by that time, she has been paying very well on time every time. She communicates with me that she's going to receive a salary cut. We come to an arrangement because I'm a very understanding person and I respect the fact that she came to me and she understands that I have expenses and just that communication, that openness. So what I did was I reduced her rent by half and said the other half we can get from her deposit. And she was happy with that. So we did that for 2 months, and then her salary still was not increased. But okay, it had increased, but not to back to normal. So I reduced her rent so that she can afford to pay the rent on a monthly basis, so that we both are happy. And what I actually did was I bought them a 6 pack of beer just to say thank you. After, like, when we were allowed to move around, I bought her a 6 pack of beer just to say thank you for the openness and the communication that you have given me. I truly do appreciate it. Unlike you just keeping quiet and not paying your rent, because at the end of the day, yes, I'm your landlord, but I'm also human. I understand people who go through financial troubles. I understand it's not your fault, and that openness and understanding is something that I appreciated. So I just wanted to give a good gesture, and I knew that they drink this certain beer. So I was like, hey, let me go get them a 6 pack just to say thank you and show a gesture of goodwill. So now we're at a point where the rentals are reduced, and we were speaking recently, and she's interested in actually purchasing the apartment. So I was like, hey, that doesn't bother me. Now I'm not still coughing out all that money because of all the interest rate drops and all of that. And a lot of things have dropped in price, so it's no longer that hefty burden of 2,000 rands coming out my pocket every month. So I was like, okay, purchase the apartment. We agreed on a price, 550 rands, 550 rand, 550,000 rands. And one might look at that as if I'm making a profit of 50,000 rands, but I'm actually not making a profit, because think about all those 2,000 rands that were coming out my pockets all this time. Those 2,000 rands really, really add up. So I'm actually overall in a loss position, but I don't mind being in that lost position because it was an experience and it was a lesson for me. She's getting a good deal, I think. She's getting a good deal. I'm not trying to screw her over like how I was screwed over, because okay, she already knows the place. She was a tenant there, so she actually knows the place better than I do, and she was interested in purchasing it. So yeah, that's the experience that I've had with my first investment property. I don't know if you guys have any questions that you would want to ask me, but it was definitely an experience. One thing I wanted to actually highlight was, looking back, what would I do differently? Looking back, what would I do differently? And the first thing is, I would not buy a loft for investment purposes. If I want to rent out a property, I wouldn't buy a loft, because in a loft you're very limited into the number of people you can rent to. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I believe that you should always rent out your property to more than one tenant, so that if your tenant moves out, at least you're still receiving some sort of income while you're trying to find another tenant. So in a loft apartment, you can't really like put in 100 people inside. You can't put 3 4 people in a loft apartment. It's quite small. So that's the first thing I wouldn't do if I was purchasing an investment property again. And I would buy at least a 2 bedroom. So at least a 2 bedroom is what I would go for. So I would negotiate everything. I would negotiate the purchase price, negotiate that purchase from 500 to 450 or whatever, or I'd move around until I find a place where I can negotiate for a significant discount. The second thing I would do is negotiate the interest rates that I'm being given by my bank. I know that some people might say, hey, but you got prime interest, but I possibly could have got prime minus if I tried to negotiate. You never know. So always try and negotiate your interest rates. with your bank. The bank is in the business of giving out loans. Remember that. So if the bank is in the business of giving out loans, then why would they say no when you're trying to negotiate your interest rates, knowing very well that if you're happy with the interest rates, they're going to get the loan and earn the interest from you? Obviously, if you're being ridiculous, you're not going to get it, but try be as realistic as possible and negotiate the price and negotiate the interest rate that you're being given by the bank. And then I'd manage it myself. From day one, I would have managed that property myself. If you have a lot of properties, get a property manager. But if you have one property, you can do it yourself. Like, it's really not a mission to collect rentals from your tenants. It's not a problem to go see if there's a problem with your apartment. It's just one apartment. So don't think about it too much. That 360 rand that you save can be used for something else, which brings me to my next point: saving for a rainy day. That 360 that I was paying to my real estate agents, I could have saved and used it for a rainy day. Like when I had my new tenants move in, I had to fix a few things in the apartment, the cupboards and whatever. And that cost money. If I'd been saving money over time, then it wouldn't have been a burden in my life. But it was a burden then because now I don't have any money saved. So start saving money for a rainy day and save money for any vacancies. When your tenant ups and leaves for no reason and no explanation, like what happened to me, at least you have some savings in place to pay for the bond payments, to pay for the levies, to pay for the rates and taxes, because you've been saving a little bit of money here and there every month, so that you know for a fact at some point you're not going to have a tenant. You're not going to be fully occupant 100% of the time throughout the 20 years. So be prepared for the times in which you are not fully tenanted. So that's another thing. And then something else that I noticed was you need to understand what the body corporate rules are for where you want to rent. So you can't just put 100 people in one apartment. Even if you believe that there's going to be rules for every body corporate has its rules, and if you partition your apartment in a certain way, there still are going to be limitations based on what the body corporate rules are. Even though it's your apartment, but you are governed by the body corporate. Always remember that it's your apartment, but it's not your rules. So if you do have a problem with the body corporate rules, or you want to have an input, then start attending the AGMs. The AGMs are a good platform for you to raise your concerns. It's a good platform for you to make suggestions, and it's a good platform for you to tell them to fuck off. In not so many words. Right. So I'm gonna be answering. Let me just see quickly. I'm upset on your behalf. Yeah, trust me. So the area is in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. I live in Johannesburg, so that's where the area is. I'm trying to purchase a property I live in already. Is it possible to take over the owner? Is it possible to take over the owner's, who is a relative, bond? How does that work? So you can't take over someone's bond. You need to apply for your own bond because that bond is in their name. So what you can do is you can do, what is it called? A rent to buy, or you can do a lease option. What is it? Installment sale. You can do an installment sale, a rent to buy, or you'll need to go to the bank and actually apply for a bank loan and then purchase the property that way. But there's you can't just say, okay, it was your bond, now it's my bond. It doesn't work like that. Ever dealt with a tenant who doesn't pay and doesn't leave? I have a cousin, her attitude is like that, and she's been staying there for a while. That makes me hesitant to get an investment property. So, Sbusiso, when a tenant doesn't want to pay and they don't want to leave, the first thing I say is you need to qualify them when you get them into your property to understand, firstly, what type of income are they receiving. So where do they work? You're not discriminating, right? You're just protecting yourself. Do not discriminate, just protect yourself and your risk. So you look at where do they work? How much do they get paid? Do they get paid enough to afford this apartment? So do that whole assessment of affordability based on their income and expenses of what they've disclosed to you. After that, take their bank statement, right? Actually have a look at their bank statements and see how much are they spending. Are they in overdraft every month, or are they not in overdraft every month? Do they have many different withdrawals that you don't understand? and many different e-wallets that you don't understand, because those withdrawals and e-wallets could be indicative of behavior that you might not want your tenants to have. Maybe because people who are on drugs, you can't swipe for drugs, you have to withdraw. So if this person is withdrawing a significant amount every single month, you might raise yourself a question as to why. Are they doing any illegal activity that requires them to withdraw money and pay cash? So those are certain things, firstly, you can look at before you put them into your apartment. And then immediately when they start not paying, 7 days after them not paying, you can issue them with a notice to say, hey, you need to pay a rent. And then you can start with the eviction process. You can't physically drag people out. It's not recommended, it's not legal. Some people do it. I wouldn't say you should do it, but definitely people do drag people out, but that's not legal. You can't do that. What you should do is follow the proper eviction process. It is a lengthy process and it is a costly process. And I guess it's like that with every type of investment that you're gonna make. Whatever investment you do decide to make in your life, it's always gonna be attached to some sort of risk. The higher the risk and the higher the return. So it's always gonna work like that. So I can't say you'll never have tenancy problems or you'll never have a tenant who doesn't want to move out. You could potentially have that, but that's not an everyday thing that happens. It's just a part of the business. That's how it works. And then how does it work with a property on auction? How can I participate and purchase such? So with auctions, it's not really, you need to attend the auction and people bid. It's like buying a car on auction. It's a very similar auction. Different auctioneers will have their different auction house rules. And I would say the best person who can explain it to you is if you actually attend the auction and actually go there and ask them, hey, how does this process work? Because the auctioneer process is a very long one and it will take me 30 minutes just by itself to try explain all the nitty-gritties. But one thing I'll say is never go to an auction and bid if you don't have the money, because they're gonna want the money. So just be careful with that. Don't bid for the sake of bidding, because it's fun and it looks fun. So don't do that. Just get a bit more education around that. And one thing I wanted to say was a lot of people have been asking me about wholesaling of property, right? Because I've done a few wholesaling deals. If you don't know what wholesaling is, there's a video I did on my YouTube channel on 5 different ways and 5 different strategies in which you can start making money today. And one of the strategies is wholesaling. So wholesaling is a strategy you can implement even if you don't have a lot of money, and it's a property strategy you can implement where you'll make large chunks of money where you didn't have a lot of money. Like on my first deal, for example, I made 50,000 rands. I've shared this a few times. I made 50,000 rands on my first deal, and I didn't spend a lot of money to make that 50,000 rands, and it was all through my mentor who assisted me. Anyway, I'm going to be having a masterclass where I actually take you step by step through how to wholesale property, because I'm tired of actually getting the questions because a lot of people are interested in it. So I'll be having a masterclass on how to wholesale property. How do you actually start making so much money in property even if you don't have a lot of money currently? And that's something, the link for the masterclass will be shared on Saturday. So check out my Facebook page and check out my Instagram channel. If you're on my emails, then I'll send you an email as well. If you're not on my email listing, you can just go to my Instagram or my Facebook link, and you can just get the free ebook that's there. That's actually another thing. I have a free ebook and a budgeting tool that can assist you. Let's say you want to purchase your first property, but you just want to fix your budget a bit. I have a budgeting tool that can assist you in doing that. So go check out the links in my Facebook profile and in my Instagram profile. You'll get the budgeting tool and you'll get the free ebook that I wrote on how to get out of debt and actually begin a path of financial freedom and financial wealth, basically. So it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay for anything. Even the masterclass that I'll be sharing the link for, it's going to be in my bios. It's also going to be free. So attend the masterclass. Start learning different ways in which you can make an income. This pandemic has taught us a very important lesson, is that your job is not secure. Historically, if you have a job, you're safe, but with things changing, you never know whether we're safe and how long you're safe for. Because you might be safe right now, but if you don't start building that second, third source of income, you'll find yourself in trouble. And even if you now are unemployed, you need to start finding ways of making money. Let's not lie about it. You need to find some way to make money, and wholesaling is a really good strategy where you can make money and you can make large chunks of money at a time. It's not a scam. If someone is going to ask me, that sounds like a scam, it's really not a scam. I'll be showing you exactly how to do it next week, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I'll show you next week, Tuesday, how to do it, and I'll share the link with you on my different social media platforms and via email. So if you are interested, sign up to my email listing and you'll get it immediately in your emails so that you can not miss the session on Tuesday on the masterclass on how to start wholesaling property. And then let me just see here. Last question. What's your take on renovating and extending a property, standalone that is, and renting a part of it out? Wouldn't that help finish the bond payments earlier? Yes, Vuyinkomo, it would. It 100% would. Yeah, it would. Like, I don't have another explanation for that. It really would help you to pay off your bond quicker, and you'll be earning more rental income. It's up to you how you want to use it. I have different strategies that I also teach to some of my coaching students in terms of how to manage their money. But yeah, you definitely can. How does it work with the property? Okay, so that was your previous question, sorry. Is one able to negotiate the price to pay for rates and levies when already living? No, you can't. You can't negotiate your rates and taxes with the municipality and your levies. Rates and taxes are determined by the municipality based on the value of the property in which they've determined this is the value of your property. And then your levies are something you can go to the AGM meeting. So your body corporate, you guys have not monthly, yearly AGMs, and at those meetings, those things are discussed where they say the levies are gonna go up by 200 rands. The levies are not gonna go up this year. We predict the maintenance and this, that. All those discussions are had there, and many people just don't attend, and then they never have a say, and then they complain when levies go up. So definitely attend those meetings and have your word heard at those meetings as well. One more thing I actually wanted to mention was that I'm really excited. I'm starting a new journey in my property journey. So for those of you who don't know, I am employed. I have an accounting and auditing background, so I'm employed doing that. But obviously, I don't like doing that because I even make more money from property than I do at my job. Many people ask me why am I still doing it, but yeah, anyway. So I'm starting a new journey within my property career, let's say. And in this journey, I need your help. And to start off, because I'm starting from scratch, I'm planning on actually understanding and being on the other side, because people criticize real estate agents so much, and I need to understand what is it about them that they are doing so wrong, what should they be doing, and how can we correct that. So I was like, as part of my documentation of my career, I'd like to do it for a while. It's definitely not something I want to do for the rest of my life or something like that, but I'll be your real estate agent and soon to be. So definitely, if you guys are interested in buying a house or selling a house and actually having a one-on-one session with me where I can advise you on how to buy or how to sell, because that's what I mainly do on my YouTube channel. And I guess if we're working together, or if me and you are working together, then I wouldn't be charging you any fee for that, because yeah, I'm your real estate agent. So definitely hit me up if you want to buy a property, or if you're interested in selling a property, so I can help you get the best price as well. And if you know someone who's going to be buying a property or selling a property, refer them to me and I'll pay you a referral fee. I'll pay you a referral fee of 3,000 rands for every single person you refer to me where there's a successful transaction. So don't refer to me your little brother or your little sister or someone who's not going to buy. If they don't buy, then there's no referral fee. But if they do buy, or if they do sell through me, or they choose to sell through me, then I will definitely pay you a referral fee of 3,000 rands for every single person that you refer to me. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but if you do, hit me up in my DMs, Facebook or Instagram, and let me just answer the last few questions that I hear. So how, when You sold the apartment for 550. What happened to your bond? Did you pay it off? And how much was it? So the transaction hasn't actually occurred. So the bond is still there, it's outstanding, and when the money gets paid, it's gonna get paid to pay off the bond. That's the plan. I don't think it's possible for you to pocket the 550. Okay, last one. Joint bond application versus individual. So if you have a joint bond application, you need to understand who you are doing that joint bond application with. The benefits of doing a joint bond application is you can increase the amount in which you're going to qualify for, but the negative side of it is, firstly, you might not, okay, it needs to be that the other person's credit score and your credit score is also decent, right? And you earn a decent income and your affordability is also decent. So it might increase the amount you can apply for. But now, what fucks out is that what happens a few years down the line, they want to sell, you don't want to sell. So that's what I'm saying, it depends who it is. If it's a life partner, like your wife or your husband, then that's easier to deal with, because the only time you'd really deal with that is if you guys are splitting up and then you have to split the assets. However, if you are doing it with a friend, what if you and your friends start beefing? I don't know. And then, or they change their mind and they have different plans now for their career. So I'd say always look at those specifics, as to whether you want to do it with a friend, whether you want to do it with your life partner, or whether you want to do it alone. Because the negative of doing it alone is that you're stuck with the costs alone. And if you have a partner, you can split the costs and it won't really hurt you that much. But if you're doing it also alone, you have the benefits of all the income is yours, but also at the same time you pay all the risk. So it really is going to depend on that, and there's no straightforward answer to say this is the best way to do it. It's just going to depend on your individual circumstance. So yeah, anyway, so in final, what books would you suggest for property investments in South Africa? There's a guy called Jason Lee. Just Google him, Jason Lee, read all his books. I recommend all his books. He's a really good author. He writes about how to invest with no money in South Africa. He writes about how to find a tenant, and a quality tenant that is, and how to actually manage your property. Jason Lee is amazing. I don't know him personally. I'd love to meet him one day. If any of you know Jason Lee, please hook me up. I'd love to meet him one day. But yeah, Jason Lee is the guy. Definitely read his books. So in final, with my final words, just as a reminder again, please look out for my masterclass. That is next week, Tuesday. The link will be shared via email and on my social media platforms on Saturday, right? So sign up for it and join it. It's going to be free. I'll be teaching you how to wholesale property, which is the buying and selling of property and flipping property without having a lot of money. And then also, I have a free ebook. If you guys are interested, I have a free ebook with the budgeting tool. You can get it in the links in my bio for my Facebook or my Instagram account. You just click there where it says free ebook and you'll download it. And then also I will be, remember, starting a new career in real estate. And basically in my career of real estate, I'm asking you to refer to me, anyone who wants to buy their property or buy a property or sell their property, and I will pay you a referral fee for each and every individual that you bring to me. Only if the transaction is successful, obviously. As I said, I don't want you bringing your little sister and your little brothers to me for no reason. So Snare, I see you want to purchase a property. Guys, if you need to talk to me for whatever reason, send me a DM on Instagram and let's start talking. There's really no other way. Send me a DM on Instagram or send me a DM on Facebook and I will respond. I'm not that guy who just doesn't respond to his DMs. I will respond to you. So we'll talk from there. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me for so long. It's been about 43 minutes right now and counting. It's been a really good time for me. I felt it's the first time I've actually told the story of my first investment property. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next YouTube video that I'll be posting very, very soon. And I hope you enjoyed. Cheers.